environmental monitoring, ecological risk assessment, and ecotoxicology. Monitoring involves the regular collection of physical, chemical, biological data, all in the bid to detect and characterize environmental change. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I've been part of the underlisted projects involving eco-auditing, environmental monitoring, impact evaluation of several multinationals and federal government projects, either as a consultant or as a team leader since 1992. I will now show you a few of these projects which I have participated in. 1992 to 1999, 1999 to 2005, 2005 to 2006. As a matter of fact, the 2006 project is a reference material in NUC today for any proponent of a new university. The photograph in the middle there shows you the hazard of a police of a pollutant. That is the presenter trying to embark on one of those trips of policing pollutants to ensure that they are arrested. But to do that, I also have armed men protecting me. So you don't, in the militancy, even the pollutants also have some form of militancy, and as such, we go there to protect them so that we are not harmed. Ecological risk assessment. Ecological risk assessment is the process that evaluates the likelihood that an adverse ecological effect will occur as a result of exposure to one or several stressors. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, let me at this juncture highlight some significant contributions of my research activities in the ecological risk assessment of the Nigerian environment. My research endeavors in heavy metals, polychlorinated biphenyls, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and pesticide contamination in Nigerian water, sediment, and biota, especially in the Niger Delta ecological zone, are germane in this context. They include Ezemoye 1992, Ezemoye Eboga 1992, up to Ezemoye 2005, Ezemoye 2006, Ezemoye 2008, 2009, 2010, and Eboga. Some of the contributions from those works I cited include this one. This particular study is the flagship of my environmental studies and remains a referral material for all heavy metal studies in aquatic environment in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, this was the first comprehensive heavy metal studies in Nigerian environment. The study of 6 metals on the water, sediment, and 23 fish species were conducted. All metals except copper exceeded allowable limit for drinking water. Sad enough, during the period of this study, the neighboring communities where the study was carried out were drinking this Warri River raw. And after our study, I raised an environmental alarm, which made the regulatory bodies to give boreholes to these communities, and today they don't drink Warri River water anymore. Heavy metal concentrations, trace metal concentrations was again studied in 2 types of earthworms. The next question you ask me, why earthworm? Earthworms are the index of soil health and soil fertility. But apart from that, they open a pathway of contamination of pollutants to man. Let me give you a typical scenario. Assuming a contaminated earthworm is used as a bait for fishing by children, and a fish picks up that earthworm, and the pollutant remains in the fish. And men that like fish, because they are old, they cannot eat meat anymore, and eat all these fish, the metal will now accumulate in them. So because of that, this study was carried out to check the effect of the concentrations of heavy metal in these earthworms in dump sites. The observation showed that the heavy metal the earthworm was a very reliable indicator because it accumulated heavy metals more than that in the soil. PCBs. This particular study is one of the hallmarks of my environmental research work. It was sponsored by the NUC Research Grant of 2002. 10 awardees were announced out of over 300 applicants. Out of these 10, 3 of those awardees are from this great university. Professor Mrs. Omoifo, Dr. Anyewe, and Professor Ezemoye. The PCBs are ubiquitous. They are cosmopolitan. They are found everywhere. Not just that, they are harmful and toxic. But sad enough, they are persistent, they are recalcitrant to natural breakdown processes, which means that it's difficult to break them down. So they remain and cause havoc. And that's why I police them. In the environment of Niger Delta, where this study was carried out, the PCB levels in water exceeded allowable limits. And from this study, they were declared contaminants of concern in the Western Niger Delta environment. I would like to inform you that the PCB 98 was dominant, and it's very remarkable. And this dominance recommended this as a mark of exposure of PCBs in Ethiopia and Benin rivers. If you look at this graph, you see in the water, PCB 98 clearly stands out as a dominant one, and that is why it was chosen as a marker. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons was also studied. This one is another legacy of pollutants which persists in the environment and also cause harm. The result of this study showed that the concentrations were more in the sediment than in water, and sediments have been known to be sink to all heavy metals. So when you think that they are gone, you don't find them again in the water column. They are in the water, they are in the sediment. And when there's perturbation in the bottom, they come back to the water column. So you see how the safety pollutants can be. So policing them also, again, needs some tactics. In this particular study, it is sad to note that the potent carcinogenic fractions of PAH, the 5 aromatic rings, the very big rings that refuse to be broken down, are the ones that are common in our waters. Take a look at this. The high rings and the carcinogenic forms are these ones we are seeing. And they're all in our waters. And that's, again, it's a justification for policing them. Pesticides are good, but they cause a lot of harm. So the distributions of diazinon, lendin, endosulfan, and proposal was also studied in the Niger Delta environment. These are very different types of pesticides that are used for different purposes, but they are used in the Nigerian environment. Observed values of the pesticides show that, again, they exceeded ecological values, both in the fish and other organisms that were studied. This is an interesting study. Organoitin compounds, especially tributyl, are excellent anti-fouling biocides in sheep. They prevent organisms from attaching to the body of sheep so that they don't increase the weight and strike and change the balance. But sadly enough, these same chemicals that have this beneficial use can cause imposex in gastropods. What do I mean? They can alter the sex of periwinkles. It's true. It's very true. I will show you later in the course of my presentation. This particular study detected significant concentrations of TBT and its metabolites in Warri Creek, particularly in areas where shipping were what? High. Ecotoxicology. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, there is perhaps no discipline better poised to make the difference on how we protect ourselves and our environment from the spoils of technology than the relatively new field of what? Ecotoxicology. Today, ecotoxicology is seen as the science of predicting effects of potentially toxic agents on natural ecosystems and